He's still going. Butler over in the corner. That's the line. Over the line he rolls. Burnside. Burnside. Onkaparinga to turn it over. He's got it again. He's got to go. Spry will do very well. Spry will go. Port Adelaide will push out. And they will push on to them. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a wonderfully stunning afternoon at Riverside Oval. My name, as always, is Dave Webb, and I am joined today by Darren Stanton. Hello, Darren.
Hello, mate.
I've been practicing that all week, and do you know what? I nearly lost it again. I've already told the story about how Doggy is Doggy, and has always been Doggy. Yep. And no one really knows you as anything but Doggy, do they?
No, not even my wife.
Good to know. So we are here. It is, like I said, an absolutely stunning afternoon. Port Adelaide 2 weeks on the bounce, and I think it's the second time. Is it the second or first time that we're seeing Onkaparinga this year? I think it's the first time. So, interesting afternoon ahead.
Yep.
We caught up on Thursday night, Doggy and I, just having a chat about where we were and how things were going, and it was a monumental cliff drop for Port Adelaide last week from top of the table to 6th.
Very much so. Especially starting the year so well with 3 wins, and Onkaparinga coming off 2 losses, one to Old Coles and one to Burnside. So they were on a real high, and then suddenly they've come crashing down to earth very quickly.
Yeah, and always good to see. Look, I'm going to be very, very blunt as we speak now. We talked last week about whether you could talk about Souths making it a big 5. And Port have been good in the early days of this year. They've got some wins under the belt, but those wins are against the bottom half of the table, you would say.
Yeah, correct. So
are they flattering to deceive, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
I don't think they're flattering to deceive. I think that, like Port always do, we usually start a little bit slower in the year, but coming up against the top tier sides, they do tend to basically struggle a little bit in the early half of the year, and then they sort of get their backs up towards the end and usually throw a few wins together. So it depends on what we can sneak out or what we can jag out during the year, during the especially with some of the higher teams later on.
We did talk about it, and we talked about the fact that nick a win today.
Yes.
Nick a win against Brighton. I think you've still got to play Brighton.
Who is our Achilles heel? Or we are their Achilles heel?
You are a little bit. You could find yourself in the top 5. And it's a real interesting one as to whether what will Souths do for the rest of the week. I know that we're at a Port Onka's game, but Souths really do deserve a mention. Anyway, we are underway at Riverside Oval, and Onkaparinga will have the first penalty of the game. Just nudged down the line. So the first line out of the game will go Onkaparinga's way. Just looking around, there's been some changes from last week.
Especially in the front row. Big Reece Keeley and Paul Voscaro taking the chocolates to start today, as opposed to Anzio and Mark Howes, which is our usual go-to numbers.
That one comes off the top, and Hall will send it into midfield, just away from the fingertips. I think that's Reynolds starting at 10. Koe will look to start. Voscaro.
Oh.
Hall again to Mattin. Showed inside, then an offload out the back. Port looking good early on with ball in hand. Reynolds again. Sends it into midfield, caught way behind the offside line. Sorry, the gain line. So we would assume that they were offside. So we are very, very early doors. The caught us by surprise, so we're without a clock at the moment. We'll work that out. Koe just sends it to touch. Did well just to get it there. That's a long, long way. But talk about Port Adelaide last year in Division 1 compared to Port Adelaide this year, playing in the you know, having to play the big boys, I've been impressed with what I've seen of Port Adelaide.
And I think you can only make them better too. I mean, if you're playing your lower teams, and you're always obviously going to play to their standard. When you're playing the higher teams, yeah, you might get beaten every so often, but you're definitely going to improve. You're definitely going to gain knowledge from those encounters.
Doughty will send it over the back, just didn't quite make it. Metcalf just decides to put it on the boot. Said mine and then left it. Another good tackle. But Onkaparinga now will look to build their attack. Around about halfway. Gerd runs hard at Lamble. Pops out the back, it has to be tidied up, and Keeley will almost envelop him and then envelop him, and then he just lets him go. Just a little whistle. I think there's a knock on somewhere.
It's nice to see Port being a little bit more patient around the ruck as well. They do tend to stick the feet forward a little bit too far and do go offside. So it's nice to see in the early stages that they've actually had that discipline to be able to say, right, this is a long game. It's 80 minutes. We need to make sure that the penalty doesn't go our way, as it says.
And the start has been good, and it's been clean from both sides as well. And the one penalty early on, one penalty apiece, I think. But we are very, very early days. So
Yeah,
I don't want to get into it.
No.
But Port Adelaide at the moment going toe to toe, and we have seen some big scores this year.
Yep.
When the Premier Grade clubs from last year have taken on the First Division clubs from last year.
Nice scrum.
But of course, Port Adelaide last year were the very top of the Division 1s. Coe finds a gap, gets through, gets across the 22, brought down from behind. The black and white shirts come streaming forward. Little pick and nudge. Can Port reset from here? They'll look out to the right-hand side, intercepted. Offside again.
And this is a surprise, usually from the Onkers team.
Quick tap. He went over the line, but I heard the whistle early. Tui Vasa, who I believe is normally round about the top of your top try scorer.
Very, yes.
And I don't think he is this year, so he's desperate to get some.
Let's not hope too desperate and start doing silly things. You normally see a bit more discipline from the Onkers sides and around the ruck, but they sort of...
Oh, he didn't let it go.
Pushing.
Jesus, he gone to Onkaparinga as he turned it over to Onkaparinga. He just didn't let it out of his hands. Yeah. Got to leave your hands. And it will be an Onkaparinga ball, so a little bit of a get-out-of-jail free card for Onkaparinga. Matten's got hands on.
And he's got
and turned over.
No whistle, so it must have been nice and clean for Timmy as usual.
Another loud blast of the whistle, and it's going to be Port's way. I really would want to take the points. Now he's gone 10 again. So is that Matten is going to go? Matten's going to get to the line, and Matten will score. First blood to Port Adelaide. And Onkaparinga just a little bit caught on their heels early doors. This is a different Port Adelaide side to the one we saw last year. Matten always sniffing around. That time he did let go, and just body position's too good.
And this will give him a lot of confidence too, especially going in the early parts of the match. To be 7 or hopefully 7-0 up after about 5 or 10 minutes, this will do them the world of good.
Tui Vasa will look to tack on the extras, and Onkaparinga probably weren't expecting that welcome. But we have talked about this in the past. Coming to Riverside Oval, it's a long way from everywhere.
Oh, unless you're Elizabeth or Barossa.
Even then, it's a fair old hike. It's a difficult place to come.
It is always a hard place to play, but I think I'm sort of kind of thinking that Onkaparinga may have come here today thinking they may have been able to consolidate a few points, and I think hopefully that Port have got a different idea completely.
Flags go up, and you were right, it is 7-0.
Lovely.
Go Port!
You will never be able to write Onkaparinga off at all.
No. Unless you're 40 points up with about 2 minutes to go.
Even then. Even then. Good high restart from Doughty. Drops from the heavens. I think Port have managed to get hold of it though.
Yeah, it's Jack, our hooker.
Another whistle, just a little bit of, just a little knock on.
Port have a bit of a tendency with their pick and drives, of just going that little touch too high and being knocked back, sometimes losing the ball. They just need to make sure that they're aiming at the ankles when they're doing these pick and drives. They can't afford, especially with such a mobile pack and the flankers that Onkas have got, to be giving them an opportunity to be able to take that ball away from them.
So obviously some big outs as well for Onkaparinga at the moment, with McKinley about 7 weeks away from coming back. It is nice to see Van Asfagen is back. Martin sends it to Reynolds, then a flat ball to Tui Vasa. Been called forward though. There's a fine line between flat and forward.
And we've lost Chris Slide, our main strike number 10. He's out with a hamstring injury. Jeffrey Reynolds, our fullback, who is, for his size, he's probably one of the best tacklers you would have ever seen. And at fullback, he's just brilliant. People try to run over the top of him. If it's somehow he's got his technique is just so good, he just brings them down every time. So him and Chris Slide are a big loss today, but we've obviously filled the spots quite well.
I was impressed with Reynolds in the final that I saw last year, and I think I saw him later on, and he's deaf.
Yes,
surprised to find that
correct.
out. So
It doesn't stop him though.
no, don't get shouted at, do you? So
No,
much?
no. Well, you probably can. You could
Yeah, but it just doesn't matter.
roll straight off your back.
Good scrummage from
at that.
both sides. It's collapsed, but we will go out to this near side to Doughty, who'll put it on the boot again and just turn the Port Adelaide defence around. Ah, the bounce has gone the way of Doughty. Doughty manages to get it away. And over they will go. They will score. Liam Wall, I think, gets the first try for Onkaparinga. How Doughty got that out, I don't know. See whether we can see. He puts it on the boot and turned the Port Adelaide defence around, and just that last bounce got away from Metcalf, and then manages to find Wall on the outside.
I think Port can take solace in the fact that wasn't a set play. This was just a little bit of luck that went their way. Just come off Sean Metcalf's bottom of his foot. Doughty's been able to get it out, and he scored over the white stripe. So, like I said, I don't think Port should be too disconsolate about that. It's just one of those things that happen.
I feel like we should go out and tell Port they can charge this one down if they want to. Just pulls it across the front. So 7 points to 5. It is, so Doughty has moved out to 10. We've seen him at 9 for a number of years, and Doughty's kicking game is going to cause the back three of Port Adelaide some problems. Did see that I was here on Thursday night for the Port training, and I did see the back three doing a lot of work on receiving kicks and counter-attacking and what they were going to do. So, but it's certainly something that you have to be aware of when you play against Onkaparinga. That's about as good as it gets from a kick. Martin will get a hand on.
That's a
little knock on. Nope, not given, not seen.
Yep.
And it will go into midfield. Almost reaching out. The Port hooker very slow to get up. Does not look very comfortable.
I'm not taking his place.
Back into the pocket to Doughty, and Doughty will just put the boots on it.
Big floater.
Oh, a nice one to take. There's got to be some communication back there. Massive collision. Tui Vasa is slow to get up as well. And Doughty again has managed to retrieve his own kick. Lots of shouting out here. Van Eycker's getting the sideline on his boots, but it's been turned over, and Port Adelaide will turn it over, and they will get ball in hand. Lamble, big and strong. Big contact in midfield. He has another go. Little bit isolated, but the support gets there eventually. Geez, they walk a fine line with that, Port Adelaide. Reynolds finds a little bit of a gap. Inside ball to Coe. Coe can go. Coe puts the ball on the boot. Now it's a foot race.
Ollie Scowcroft.
Sideline will beat everybody. So just looking around for the walking wounded. Tui Vasa is up.
That was Sean.
Jack the hooker is still a little bit proppy. He's not going to get over there.
That was Sean Metcalf's ball every day of the week. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but fully shouldn't have been running back into that. Sean Metcalf was running onto it. That was his ball. So, like you said, a little bit of loss of communication there, but hopefully we can amend that later on.
Safe ball from Onkaparinga, just right at the front. They are just outside their own try line, so they'll want to get away from here. That's out. That's a big driving maul. Doughty just slewed off the edge of his foot. Now the bounce will find Metcalf. What can Metcalf do from here? Beats the first one, can't beat Doughty.
Strange to see him at fullback as well, Sean Metcalf. He's usually a winger or an outside centre, but obviously Big Andy knows what he's doing in his selection process, so he's obviously had the faith in him to put him there.
If he doesn't know what he's doing, we're not going to argue with him.
Yeah.
Lambo just puts it, was it Lamble?
Lamble.
I'm going to blame him Lamble. No, it was Paul Voscarou. Just put it down.
As opposed to Lamblay?
Yes, we've told that story. I don't mind seeing Metcalf at fullback. I think given a little bit of space and a little bit of time, he can cause some problems. What he's like one-on-one, yet to see.
Well, he's got a lot of leg strength. He's got a lot of leg drive. When he does make contact into a tackle, he can usually move a fair bit.
Adelaide putting the Onkaparinga scrum under pressure again. And a
little
knock on at the back. It's a tough day out if your scrum's going backwards. The number 8 and the number 9 really have to be on the same page.
Which is unusual for Onkers because they're a big, aggressive and mobile scrum, and they usually are not unbeatable, but they are usually very rock solid. And it's strange to see them being pushed backwards. It's a nice sight, don't get me wrong, but it's just from a Port Adelaide player's point of view, it's a lovely sight, but it just seems a bit strange.
I think we're seeing the blossoming of Rhys Keeley. He'd be a tough person to get moving backwards, and his body shape looks good from what we saw of him last week and what we've seen at the beginning of this week.
Well, he's been doing a lot of work on it. He's actually been working on. He used to think that it's just his pure size was enough to hold him there, but he just didn't realise that he can actually put more force by just purely on his body height.
I mean, that gets proved wrong week in, week out.
Yes.
Size matters, but you've got to be able to do something with it as well.
Exactly right.
That one will go backwards, but Matton will clean it up.
And the reverse is also the same. The smaller you are, just because you are small or shorter in stature doesn't mean that you can't do your job effectively.
Reynolds has a little bit of a sniff. Clean out comes again. Out to Lamble. Nothing doing. Out to Metcalf. Metcalf steps in, then out. Met by a couple of Onkers players. Good offload. Coe can't get away from Doughty. Again, the support is just... Jeez, they walk a fine line with it. Port Adelaide walk a fine line with it, and there it goes.
Oops.
I've said it more than once. Isolation will either lead to a turnover or a penalty, and it's been every single time. There's just any time they're in open field, support is just off.
They're just half a second behind the 8 ball, and unfortunately, half a second is all the Onkers, flankers, and all their snipers need to
It is giving them all the chance.
It is.
It's giving them all a chance to just jackal initially.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Jack's going to be able to go. I've just seen him sort of hobble over here, just looking away to the left at your bench. Just trying to see who your front row reserves would be.
7, 9, 1.
Whitten off the top to Doughty. Doughty will carry to the gain line. Flat ball. Met well.
Race, move. Move. You're not a winger.
Lamble will be the first up tackle. Does enough. Onkaparinga look out to that far side. Good, flat ball, very, very flat ball. Gets the winger away. Then a nice little inside pass to Van Aswegen. Now they can go. Ball on the boot, turns around.
Oh!
There's just a little bit going on. It means something.
Casey was up in the air when he took the mark, and the young fella came through and just took his legs out from underneath him. Unfortunately,
I missed that because I think there's a little bit of a late hit on the kicker as well, which goes down there, and then
there.
Oh, it's borderline. Reynolds who spent 10 minutes sat on the sideline last week. Obviously, he's only got 70 minutes in him. Yeah, he's still up there. Yep. Not entirely. He's talking to his assistant over on that far side. Again, Ben and Paul Ridley, the father and son duo on either side. It's a really tough one. It should be a yellow card. If he's in the air, you just can't touch him.
Absolutely. It's like anything above the shoulders. It's automatic.
So still 7 points to 5. So, I mean, it is, we see it in slow motion, but yeah, he's in the air. I mean, it's borderline, but he's in there.
Yeah. Do you think Onkas are a little bit shell-shocked at this point in time? Not expecting this sort of level of resistance from Port, from a reserve grade team from last year up to an A grade team this year?
Probably yes. But what I will say is that what I will definitely say is that this just goes to prove that the whole is more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
With the greatest of respect to the Port players,
Still a long way to go.
There's a long way to go. So it's always the retaliation that gets, and I told 70 minutes in him. So yeah, the retaliation is always going to be difficult. If Gerd gets away with nothing, he's done very, very well.
Smack the ball on his head.
There's always the person who retaliates.
Yep. It's a long walk from there to here, unfortunately.
But Gerd's gone as well. So Gerd has gone for the tackle. Reynolds has gone for the retaliation. We're all square.
Which is fair, exactly right.
No, it is what it is.
That's it.
There is 2 chairs. No, there's one there. There should have been. Oh, on the other side, sorry. There's a chair here, mate.
And Onkaparinga get the penalty, so it's just punishment all round.
Yeah.
Talking about front row replacements, I've just seen Mark Howells wander up. So we'll see how Jack goes. Well, I don't know what that rearrangement would look like in the front row.
Well, I don't honestly know who they're actually going to put in at hooker at this point in time. There's no other specialiser, no other reserve hooker. Yeah. You've got Sam Chapman that's sitting, and he can play at that position. He is able to, but whether it's going to be, there we go.
Flags go up for that one, so 8 points to 7 as we approach 25 minutes on the Wojtek scoreboard.
So Sammy can do it, so can Ollie Scrowcroft. But it's whether you want to rob Peter to pay Paul.
It's certainly a thinker for the coaching team. And so 14 aside, a little bit of extra space out there for the players, but not a huge amount.
Lovely kick.
Another high-hanging kick, just a little bit deep this time. Tim Mitchell certainly gets around. I've enjoyed watching Mitchell go about his work last week, and this week he's got his hands on the ball a couple of times as well. Pulled out the back. Onkaparinga will look to go.
Like I was saying, it's nice to see this level of patience coming from the Port players. It's
Liam Wall just looking for a little bit of a gap outside, manages to get the offload and then the kick away. Metcalf deals with that very, very well.
Lovely.
Stood up slightly, has to work to get to ground or get the ball out. Lamble will look to try and get his not unsubstantial mitts on it. I think that's probably going to be long enough. And there it comes out. It looks like it's come out Onkaparinga's way. It's always going to be the case. Doughty will then look to turn them around because he knew Metcalf would have been out position. And it will be a Port Adelaide line out within their own 22. So we did see last week, Kinnear was very, very good in the line-out. Worked out very, very well for them in the line-out, and it was a wonderful battle between him and Porter last week.
Yep.
It looks like there could be another one with Caleb Whitten, I think that is.
Nice.
That one comes off the top to Reynolds, out to Coe. Coe will have it charged down. Will it get out the back? Coe did very well to get back and touch it down. So it's going to be a 22. Tuivasa is open. He's It's gonna, if it bounces right for Tuivasa, he can put it on the boot, which he does. Now it will turn into a foot race. Outnumbered Tuivasa. And Van Aswegen just has to clear. About as good as it could be, really. Ben Wall asking the question. He felt like he was pushed. But it's okay. Coe had it charged down and then managed to get back. I think it's O'Neill just lost his footing on the chase, and if he hadn't, it would have been interesting. But worked out about as well as it could for Port Adelaide.
Seems like Jack's recovered from his little injury there. Maybe just a stinger on the leg. Oh.
And again, not what was planned, but it worked.
But it worked. Ugly but effective, as I say.
And that's Matten, who's just had a sniff down this near side. Hall will send it in.
Oh, it's turned over.
Turned over, and Doughty again will just turn them around. Sean Murkoff's certainly going to know he's been in a game today. There's Whitten bearing down on him. And then just happy to kick it into touch.
Well done.
And take the defensive line out, which wasn't a bad choice, because there was a lot of red and black shirts. We've gone early, gone quick. Whistle is gone. Then we're going to go again.
It's nice to see, as compared to last week, a lot lower penalty count as well. The tackles, they're keeping the tackles down as well, which last week they were, not to put too fine a point on it, they were atrocious.
It was interesting at halftime last week. I did hear talks of how to react to whistles and when we get a penalty, when a penalty is given. See whether that changes this week. Whitten again, now they can try and get that driving maul going. Matten has managed to wiggle his way through into the middle and get hands on.
Nice. How he
just have to hold
amazing.
on. Is that Matten? Have I done him wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah, and they will win it.
Lovely, beautiful stuff. Any juniors watching that was textbook.
You can go right through the middle.
You can. Did it cleanly, got hands on. Textbook stuff.
So as we approach the half-hour mark, just the 1 point in it, Jack still isn't moving at 100%.
It's be interesting to see what they do at half-time, whether they swap him out and put somebody else in that spot, give him a bit of a break, maybe bring him on later on, but let's hope for now it's just a stinger.
Oh, Reynolds just lost it. Coe has to tidy it up, and he'll put it on the boot. He's found a little bit of space. Wilkins will be the first to go.
Yeah, nice tackle.
Almost got away from the first, but couldn't quite. Onkaparinga just inside the Port half, can build from here. Doughty again will put it on the boot. Feels strong, but bounces absolutely perfectly. Has it not gone out?
I don't know, but
Hall in the right place at the right time. Gets Scowcroft out of jail. A little bit of a counter ruck comes from Onkaparinga though. It's all very scrappy over there. Finally, Port will come back with it. Felt like it was a bit strong off the boot of Doughty, but it was absolutely inch perfect. Coe, he will just pump it backwards. Big loud blast of the whistle. Penalty. Just to relieve that pressure. You see Jack there just wandering over to that position. He's still not free. Came out with tape on his leg, and the tape on his leg has now been discarded.
And the magical spray. Didn't actually see what that penalty was for.
I think it was for sealing off.
Righto.
So if well, I shouldn't say it. 10 minutes to go to half time.
Yeah, don't just leave it alone.
And if Port Adelaide could get to half-time with the score remaining the same, or they could nick something before they get to half-time. That's a big win from the boys from Riverside Oval.
And that will bring them into the second half absolutely full of steam. If they can be 1 point down at the start of the second half against Onkers, that beat Brighton by 29 to 10, only 29 to 19 only a couple of weeks ago, then that will be a huge bonus.
It's been a topsy-turvy roller coaster season so far. Mitchell again puts his hands up for the hard yards.
I think it was Damo.
Martin. Flat ball. Scowcroft with a nice, breaks the first one, breaks the gain line. That's what Port want. Keeley.
The Onkaparinga team seem to be pushing that offside law a little bit around
They
the
got
base
caught
of the
early
ruck.
on. They seem to have sorted themselves out a little bit now. Jack out on that far side. Coe had an inside runner, couldn't quite find him, so he'll put it on the boot and that will roll into touch. So it will be an Onkaparinga lineup. I think they wanted to take it quickly and weren't given the opportunity. Jack is definitely not moving very well. Just on Enzio Lewis has turned up as well.
Again, another one of our big forwards that can play, but how he would go in that
You're going to end up with a front row of 3 props.
Yeah, exactly. Get a bit worried if Big Andy, the coach, starts warming up.
Again, another kick, and again, Metcalf has got a lot of ground to make up, and again, he's surrounded by red and black shirts. Manages to beat the first one and get himself in front of his support, but lost it forward. But again, not a bad result.
They seem to be probing a fair bit with their kicking game.
And it's going to be a trend, I think, on both sides. Coe working around the field for Port Adelaide, and Doughty is the man who seems to be directing traffic for Onkaparinga, and looks like Reynolds and Gerd, who've just had a little bit of a shake and a kiss and a make-up. Away to our right, we'll be getting ready to go back on shortly.
Yeah, going back to that kicking game, they just seem to be putting a little bit, seeing the mettle of Metcalf, as it were, and seeing how he's going to react under pressure. And if they can get enough people down there quick enough, turn that ball over, then Port's going to be in trouble. So they're going to need to keep an eye on that.
Doughty carries, finds a little bit of a gap, but Coe almost got him, but Doughty manages to keep his feet. Martin finally brings him down. Onkaparinga now looking out to this near side. Van Aswegen pulls it out the back to Witten, then to Wilkin. Wilkin versus Metcalf, steps back inside. Tuivasa will get him. Van Aswegen will get the offload. Coe will munch him. Absolutely surround him. Now Onkers will spread to the far side. Doughty doesn't like what he saw out there, so he's come back this way. There's numbers out here if they can find them. Van Aswegen to Wilkin. Wilkin will step back inside. Half taken by Metcalf. Into the 5. That's how close they are to the line. Ball doesn't come back in a penalty. Dangerous place for a penalty as well. Just wondering who that's going to be. Who's he going to talk? Well, he's going to go and talk to Ben Ridley on this near side. Wonder whether he's asking the question of whether he's got a number, but it's danger zone in your own 5, giving away a penalty.
God, yes.
So I think as we see Gerd and Reynolds return to the fray, might be a one-man advantage for Onkaparinga.
Not sure whether it's against Damo, the second row, for not rolling away, but he was making a damn good attempt to do it. So
Metcalf was a bit lazy as well coming back. As he was coming back on side, he was a bit lazy as well, so it could have been him.
Yep.
So he wants to have a chat with Lamble. Not sure why he wants to. Ivasa.
Your principle is basically right, except for the 2 players. Thank you.
It's not for the high tackle on Troy Doughty, is it? It could be.
I mean, there was a long way back. It didn't feel high.
And
That's what, no, he has. He's just pointed over there. So it didn't feel like it was too high.
It seems a long, like you said, it seems a long time between.
I mean, that's fine. That's okay. You can still get a yellow card for it. You can hear him say, "We might have to turn our microphone down a little bit because we are getting co-commentary from absolutely everybody who's over here."
Yeah, it was a yellow card for a clean tackle.
Yeah. It did look okay, but obviously they've seen it differently. Koei will sit down for 10 minutes. So we are about ready to get going again and hopefully play some rugby again.
And here's me just saying how well they were playing against with the considering the amount of high tackles we had last week.
So now Onkaparinga do have a one-man advantage, and they will roll around the outside with White, and that's again how close they are. Hall has got hands on. Can he turn it into a maul? Was it called a maul? Yes, it was. And Port Adelaide will get out of jail on that one. Jesus, some get out of jail free. I think they're printing their own here.
Yeah.
Greatest game of Monopoly ever.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
There's a load of them there.
But no, it's nice to see Port kept their medal there. They knew what they had to do, and they took their chance, and it was either that or a try. So,
and the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes of this game has felt like it should have felt for the entire game, which is Onkaparinga having the ascendancy and knocking on the door, and Port Adelaide being a little bit last ditch, but it hasn't been up until this point, and now, especially with a one-man deficit, it's going to be big character time for the boys from Riverside Oval.
And you keep on expecting, I don't mean to be disrespectful against my own team, but you sort of keep on expecting Onkas to break this open, and they just haven't been able to. Port have just stuck to their game, stuck to their mettle, been patient around the ruck, made sure that their tackles have counted, which has been really nice to see compared to last week. Their pick and drives have been nice and low, which again they had a problem with. So with only a couple of minutes, it'll be nice to go in just 1 point down.
So Onkaparinga with one very successful driving maul off a line out. Oh, damn, 2 bites at it, but got it eventually. That kind of put pay to any driving maul though. Doughty carries to the line again, then we'll find Wilkin. Wilkin with good feet will go around the outside, and he will score. And it was only a matter of time, and over the last 10 minutes, they started to look more and more dangerous. And finally, they got the opening. Wilkin coming across from his near side wing. Just showing that one-man advantage is there. Good feet from Wilkin again.
Again, I think Port committed too many people to Troy, to their number 10. They had about 2 or 3 guys standing there waiting for him to hit up, and he's just drawn that man like simple junior stuff. Drawn like that, bang. Drawn that man in, put the 14 straight through the hole, and easy money. I
think it's probably a little bit easy to blame the Port defence for that, but Doughty's been playing this game for a long, long time.
Oh, yes.
When he carries that ball to the line, you've got to honour what he can do, because if you sit off him, he will find a pass. If you attack him,
he'll find a way through.
So, while it's easy to turn around and say he's drawn too many people in, he's drawn people in.
Exactly.
That's what he's there for.
He's done his job. Like you said, I don't know how many years he's played state for, and
he's still going. It's that Viking blood in him, you see.
Oh yeah.
You've got a bit of Viking in your beard.
Yeah, it's called grey.
So 15 points to 7. There will be, I think there'll be a little bit of time added on.
Yeah.
And we've had some stoppages. Suivasa will hang another one up, and again another good high hanging kick, and Mitchell will find his way, but just shrugged off. Lee, sorry. Mitchell's the other one. Now Onkaparinga looking to build from the back, and with a little bit of wind in the sails at the moment. And the extra player, Doughty, pulls it out to Van Eyck, then Van Asvegen, and then out to Wilkin, who should have the legs to beat the first one, and then steps away from Martin, and then a big don't argue on Reynolds. Probably one of the best performances we've seen from Wilkin since we've been doing the broadcasts. And now Onkaparinga with time and space out the back. He wasn't expecting that one, and Port Adelaide will turn it over. Again, just support taking a little bit too long to get there. Fortunately, they had the cushion of the knock-on advantage.
Again, it's that little half a second fade that they have between, you know, the offensive player going to ground and that person cleaning out. And it's just that little half a second. That's all the Reds need to basically to affect the jackal.
Oh, there we go. The Magpies are out.
Yeah.
We are at Port Adelaide. Magpies everywhere. I used to have a coach, a man by the name of Colin Bentley, who was certainly a character, I will say. And he used to say, don't think, walk, run, just act. Reynolds into midfield again, manages to keep his feet for long enough for his support to get there. Lie.
Big, strong runner. He always has been. Always makes those 4 or 5 extra paces that somebody else can't. Mitchell.
That's the Mitchell.
That's the Mitchell that you're after.
There we go.
Just look for the ponytail.
Hall again, just in control from the back. Standing start from Martin. Best he can do is get this back in the black and white direction, which he does. Yeah, got to keep your feet. As soon as those hands go down, and Hall will go. He'll give it to Lie, who just puts his hand up for the hard yards every time. Martin will get there. Again, just that breath before the support gets there. Hall. To Reynolds. To Mitchell. Mitchell through the gap, gets support. Does he need him? Mitchell brought down eventually, loses it forward.
Did that go forward?
I'm just wondering where it's going to go.
No,
It's a penalty.
So maybe are they going to go for the try, or are they going to take the points? I think
there's a tea's already gone out. Tee has been sent out with the coach.
Yep.
Coaches have difficulty trying to communicate with players whistle to whistle, and I think the best time to do it is when there's a penalty. Just send the tee out. Get it out there.
Take the decision out of the captain's hands.
Yes.
There's the tee. This is what's happening. You're doing it.
And it's not a bad one. As we just have a look, and we'll see whether we can pick what the penalty's for. Mitchell getting through, had a runner inside, but not a bad decision. It was ripped out by White, and I think he's saying that he's got a release on the tackle. And that's what the penalty was for. So Tuivasa in front to add 3 points to the scoreboard. He's pushed it, but the flags go up. Jeez. More tense ending than the end of Game of Thrones. I
can't have a crisis this week. My schedule's already full.
He pushed it, but the flags went up.
Yep.
Whoa.
Must have been. Wow.
So Doughty will restart into the sun. Be interested to see who won the toss, and I do feel like Port won the toss and chose to go in the sun. Those of you who played at Riverside Oval, when that sun drops, it's an absolute nightmare. Port again, just looking for controlled and slow rugby. Just outside the 22. Then they will find Reynolds. Flag ball to Ivasa. Wow. Then it's turned over and turned over again. So we've seen that 3 times. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen that ball 3 times for Tuivasa. First one he knocked on at Souths. Second one he knocked on here. And this one nearly went to hands for Onkaparinga. But he hits that hard. Maybe just take a bit of it off, Mr. Reynolds. Just take a little bit off it.
But the thing is, if he took it, he was through. He would have been gone. But that's the risk you've got to take. It's just a balancing act, isn't it?
It is fine lines that Port Adelaide are playing on at the moment.
I'm really impressed with Reece Keeley. He's still moving around. Like a couple of years ago, there's no way he would have been able to put through a full half of football. And today, he's just powering through. And Paul Voskero, I mean, he's normally a second grader. He has really stepped up today. He had a couple of hits. And look at that.
Big drive
Look at that.
comes from the Port
Wow.
Adelaide pack.
Beautiful.
Manages to splinter the scrum. Leah almost managed to clean it out. Onkaparinga scrappy, but they've got it back. Van Eyck to Witten. Witten makes a couple miss. Tui Vasa didn't know.
And again, there's those first up tackles. Yeah, nice. There's those first up tackles that we were talking about.
Well, the first two missed.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And a penalty and a shake of the head from Doughty because he knows that's another one.
Yep. So are they going to... Yep.
This is it would be a big win for Port Adelaide to get through this 15 versus 14 moment. Wilkins didn't make it to touch. Van Asvegen will fire it across the middle. Onkaparinga just spreading from touchline to touchline. Reynolds manages to do enough. Onkaparinga will go again. Out the back to Doughty. Doughty will fire it to Witten. Witten has Wilkin outside. He finds Wilkin. Wilkin puts his head down. Steps back inside again. Then outside. And he will score.
Hang on. Did he or didn't he?
Yeah, no, the arm goes up. I tell you, it's every time we have Tristan Clements, he loves to build that. There's always a break just before he blows that try. In and out from Wilkin. Good feet again from the winger. Inside Martin, outside Reynolds. And then just puts the foot down and too quick for Tui Vasa. We'll say yes.
Okay. Here we go.
Ben Ridley's a lot closer than us. Just saying, well, this will be the look, won't it? Yeah, no, he's
it's
fine.
I'm just hoping I haven't given Port the Lou Richards kiss of death.
I don't know what.
It's an AFL terminology. Whoever Lou Richards used to say you should bet on, everybody used to bet against him because you'd know they'd lose. So it's like, oh.
But I don't mind it, but you would say that the smart money would have been on red and black this morning. That's a fantastic kick. Just didn't have the legs.
Wow. Okay.
And that is half time. So long old half.
Very long.
Nearly up to the 50 minutes.
I can't really see where the extra 8 minutes came from, though.
There was a few stoppages. There was quite a long stoppage with the tackle in the air.
True.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to step away for a break. We will be back for half number 2.
Done.
The super dry.
No.
The ski jacket, it works.
Do you ski?
I might know I've got a jacket.
Oh dear.
Oh, we're back. I think we just... I didn't even realise we were back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I did see you sniffing around the Port Adelaide huddle. Any news?
Not as such. Andy's words were basically Terry's words were basically stay in the grind. We've just got to do those small things well, and when you do the small things well, the big things sort of come off after a while.
Yeah, and it's not a difficult game.
No. And like I was saying to the boys there before...
Oh, I mean, that's one lost and turned over, though.
Anzio Lewis is on too, I see.
Yeah, I think Reece
And
Keeley
Mark
had to
Howells.
go. So there's been 2 changes in the front row.
Pommy, Mark and Anzio, which is they're actually usually starting front 2, so...
They'll come out to this near side, into midfield with Witten. Witten will sit one down, then send it out to Van Asvegen. Good hands out here. He has to stop and start and come back in. Almost stolen away from him. Doughty. That one just didn't quite go to hand. Martin with the, wasn't quite what you would describe as textbook tackle, but it worked.
Nope.
Another one gone down and Port Adelaide will have it. Coe fires it out to Chapman, so there's another change. Chapman will look for a little bit of space. Can't quite find it. Then it will go to Matin. Matin thought about it, then tries to get his hands free. Does get the offload away to Keneally, who we haven't really called his name much today. Hall. Counter ruck is good from Onkaparinga. Witten. Nice draw and give out to this near side. Metcalf. Can Hall get there? Hall does get there. Great camera angle. Metcalf, I tell you, Metcalf does. We've talked about walking fine lines today. Jeez, Metcalf, after that kick, again, walked a fine line.
They do tend to be probing that fullback position with those kicks a bit this afternoon, don't they? They're sort of they're coming in, they're having the kick come through en masse, and then they're coming through en masse to hopefully turn over the ball. And if they do, they're probably through. But
Metcalf has found himself with a number of Onkaparinga players in front of him when he received the ball on a number of occasions. Van Asvegen decides to take on the first one, beats the first one, can't get away from Matin. Little bit one out. Chapman will make the tackle. Isolation.
yes,
Called it early. Tuivasa will make the long walk over.
it looks like Jack Gall has actually gone off. So I would say maybe Sam Chapman's going in at.
Well, we'll find out who's throwing the ball in.
Well, he's had a busy day today because he played B grade or played reserve grade and scored 3 tries.
Well, there you go.
So let's hopefully he can back that up today with 3 more.
So is that Keneally who's going to throw the ball?
No, that's Matten.
Oh, it's another Matin.
That's Dwayne Matten.
Dwayne Matin is going to throw the ball in.
Nice.
Tim Matin at number 2 will take that one, and they start getting going forward over the 40. Ball goes to ground. Little sniff to the left-hand side.
It's nice.
Ball again. Then we'll go out to Reynolds. Reynolds, flat ball to Coe. Coe showed it inside. Got his hands free. Can get it away. Scowcroft sends it out to Metcalf. Metcalf had a little bit of time and space, but it's gone forward.
Already.
I think the whistle came earlier on. We're coming back for something. Penalty.
Okay.
Collapsing the maul. There we go. So they'll go and get another one. Not bad from Matin. 1 from 1 from the line-out. Probably the only time I can keep on top of stats, really.
Pretty much.
Lamble's gone and asked the question. The referee.
I always remember whenever I was hooking, my first throw was always offline. Oh.
Good kick from Tuivasa, pushes them into the 22. You would say that the line out for Port Adelaide is a little bit scrappy, but
it's never been our strong suit. Scrums, yes. Line outs, nah.
well,
not so
last
much.
week it was almost faultless, but you were just against an incredible defensive jumper.
And having Tim
Martin
Martin jump as well.
Starts it moving forward again. Chapman will roll off the back.
Go, Sammy.
He's inside the 5. That's the try line.
What?
Whistle.
What for?
Just waiting for a signal. Penalty. Offside. So put it in, you would think, put it into the corner and do it again.
Why wouldn't he let that one keep going, though, considering we had to go forward there?
I think there must have been something that would have stopped it. I don't know whether there was a little knock-on from Chapman. Hall will put it almost on the 5. Shannon Hall also with a bit of Viking in him.
And having Timmy Martin in the line-out is always a good option.
Oh, that one didn't quite go. And it's the first time Martin. It's the first misstep from Martin. Counter ruck was solid from Port, and they're going to get another go just a little bit further out.
Dwayne's just got to get those elbows facing towards the sky and throw those hands up.
But we talked about pressure, and this is Onkaparinga having to deal with a fair amount of pressure from Port Adelaide.
Considering what they've done to the, technically speaking, the lower grade teams. Oh, early lift.
Oh, geez, they're getting the rub of the green, and Martin will go again. Martin will just put his head down and go forward. Has Chapman for support. 5 metres out again, Port Adelaide. What have they got? Hall got
monstered
just straight away. Now starting to pile away to this right-hand side. Again, just out 5 metres out. Are they going to try and take it off in bite-sized chunks? Yes, they are. That's over the line. Near enough. Will the ball come back their way? It is going to come back their way. Martin tries to go through the middle. There's just a pile of bodies there. Penalty again, another one. Offside again. Martin decides to go quickly. Gets over the line.
Held up.
Oh.
Wow.
the look on Mr. Martin's face as he gets up would probably suggest that he felt he got it down.
The wry grin, gives it away every time.
But it will be a Port scrum 5 metres out.
So are they going to push it? Are they going to try to push it over, or are they going to send it out?
Oh, geez, we've seen a pushover try. We have seen a pushover try on Space Quake Sports. Yes. We have seen one.
Yes.
So there's a change for Onkaparinga. But this is a brand new front row. I don't remember seeing a scrum in the second half, but it's a brand new front row.
For who? For
Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Onkers have stayed pretty much the same. They've just made that change now.
So you got Lewis, Martin and Howes in the front row, which is normally, like I said, normally they're starting front row. Oh,
it's been stolen. But a whistle. Oh, sorry, the whistle must have come from the football oval over the back. Scowcroft to Tuivasa. Tuivasa, what can he do? Gets met by red and black wall. But again, managed to stay long enough. The box kick for Metcalf. How's the bounce? Metcalf is going to put Witten under some pressure. Witten does very, very well. Then puts the ball to foot. Does it go out? No, it doesn't. Hall is a long, long way back. And he's kind of on his own. He's asking for help. Rolls back the ear. Takes on Witten. Counter ruck is good from Monkers though. Hold him up, you hear the call. Can they turn it into a maul and get the ball back? Yep, they do.
Port have definitely got, it's going to give me a heart attack. Port have definitely got their back up in the last 10 or 15 minutes. I think they can smell blood in the water. They can smell victory here, even though they're 10 points down. Still got a half an hour to go. I think they truly believe now. I think they can get this.
Well, a little bit of a doff of the hat to Caleb Witten. Managed to find himself as the final defender. Did well to pick it up.
Yep.
Did well to beat Metcalf. Then got the ball to boot. And then was first there to make the tackle on Hall. So well, good on, young man.
Good work rate. It's nice to see Port playing to the whistle as well. You know, every time the whistle goes now, they're just instantly trying to get back.
Well, I had a chat with Sam Chapman on Thursday night, and he said to me, whenever you hear a whistle, presume it's a penalty against us. It normally is.
No, don't be like that, Dave.
That's what he's there with his words.
Yeah, true. But in general, every time you hear a whistle, just start running backwards.
Look at that. That's interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Coe out the back. Flat ball to Metcalf. Metcalf will then send it out to Reynolds. Reynolds will put on his foot on the loud pedal. Then he will chip it over the top. Now it's a foot race. Wall's going to get there. He's carried it over his line. He's done very, very well to get back out. Penalty. Oh. There's a number. I mean, you can pick one from about just 3 Onka players who've lost their feet.
Just killing the ball.
A yellow card. And it was only a matter of time. That's 3 or 4 penalties in that red zone.
Yep. They were just killing the ball. Gave Port no chance to counter-ruck there. There was 3 or 4 and they just lay straight over the top of the ball. No point shaking your head, young man. That was clear as a bell.
Short ball. Can they get over the line again?
Damo.
Lie manages to get it back. Howells will look.
Go, Mark.
Again, just short. Port Adelaide are knocking on the door. Will it open? Coe!
Yes!
Coe goes over and Coe scores.
Very nice.
And Port Adelaide will reduce the deficit to 5 for now.
Just constant pressure. It's nice to see. Nice to see the patience that was actually involved there, because normally, not 9 times out of 10, but quite a few times in that red zone, Port seemed to struggle a bit. They use haste over speed, which is obviously, you know, haste is speed without thinking, and they just sort of stopped thinking there a couple of times usually, but this time it was just well worked, and they got the meat pie. Oh, Mark Howells was so close then. We'll hear about that at the bar tonight.
I don't know, that's what I meant.
And then Coe will hit it flat. I just want to go back to the scrum we saw in front of us. I think it's Howells who's on this near side, and it looks like he's got his opposite number in a little bit of trouble and is folding him underneath. And I saw the flank of the number 7 for Onkers, which I think is Ben White, holding his own prop's elbow up, trying to keep him square, trying to keep him up.
I didn't see that.
Interesting.
I'll have to have a look at that next time. Mark Howells, Pommy Mark, he's a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing in the scrum. Oh, is that through?
Kick is on its way. Flag stay down. So 5 points the difference.
That's it.
And this is the point where you're going to find yourself underneath one of those Troy Doughty hanging kicks.
Yep.
So Troy's just having a chat with Mr. Clements in the middle, probably about that one. But I think, again, I had some interesting conversations with some Port Adelaide people last week about penalties and whether they were there or not last week. I think when Onkaparinga will look back and just see that period of play, they'll understand that someone's going to go for that eventually. Chapman shows inside, then will go on, manages to get the hands free and give it to Lewis. Hall to Reynolds, inside ball. Lie again. Been very impressive today, Lie. Hall again will send it to Howells. Port Adelaide have made some yardage from where they started. Mitchell, almost halfway, just lost it again. His ball security has let him down a couple of times. Doughty will turn them around again and again. Metcalf has to go over and try and deal. And the line is out. Gives it to Reynolds. Reynolds tries to take on Doughty and doors. There seems to be a moratorium on quick throw-ins today. So it'll be a line out in a dangerous position for Port Adelaide. These are the ones that you must get. And get they do. And they start to move it forwards. They managed to splinter the Onkaparinga pack a little bit, so they've gone from their own 5 towards the 22. Still there. Just outside the 22 now, so they've got to go. They can't go direct to touch. So Koe will just look to turn around the back three. Van Aswegen does very, very well. Now he's got the whole field in front of him, and he'll just look to push Onkaparinga back into that far corner. Metcalf has to go a long way to get it. Suggestion of a knock on. And it's slewed off his foot. First one misses. Reynolds and Chapman will tidy it up. I don't think Chapman let go, so if he's got away with it, he's got away with it. Just seemed to have put the whistle away for a moment, our officials. We did see a yellow card for that kind of clean out last week.
It does make a nice change though, not seeing him have the whistle in his mouth 24/7. So letting it flow a little bit more is, you know, open up the game up, but also tighten up the score, which is kind of nice.
He just wants to have a chat with the captains. My lip reading isn't there, but I think he's probably saying, look, there's probably a little bit too much talk and a little bit too much. Let's just play rugby.
Yeah.
I imagine, as we were saying, the old universal signal for cut it out right at the end of the conversation. So Van Eyck to put the ball in. Good angle for us to see this one. Stolen by Mattin. Oh, it's worked right for White. White, one to beat. Can't get away from Reynolds. Reynolds does well to come back for the second go. Onkaparinga now with the wind in the sails, out towards Wall. There's numbers out here if they can get him. Van Aswegen shows out on the outside. Ball goes to ground.
Yes.
Wasted opportunity from the men from Morford Vale. They had all the numbers. He showed on the outside, stepped back inside. Tui Vasa, and I think that's Lie who's managed to come across and just do enough.
I think maybe he didn't cut his fingernails this morning. He's just grabbed a hold of him.
Mattin managed to make it, and then White was away. Reynolds was dealt with, and his brother came to back him up. So it's going to be a scrum. So it must have gone forward into touch. Port Adelaide will go with the scrum.
Now there's a profile for you. Shannon, Shannon, all that beard and that head. That's beautiful profile, Shannon.
I will leave that for you. Love Shannon.
He is. He's an absolute legend. I mean, I know that the terminology gets thrown around a fair bit, but he's an absolute legend of the club. His whole family is actually.
So Port Adelaide scrum, they lost the last one. So just keep an eye here. Sorry, I'm pointing for Doggy on the left-hand side of your screen.
Pommy Mark.
Just see whether we see assistance from the flanker again. See some of the dark arts in play. Oh, there's no flanker on this side. They dropped him, and there you see that Howells has managed to just get him underneath. Driving in from Onkaparinga, and Mattin wants to go.
Come on.
Mattin does go. The outburst from Mr. Stanton to my left would suggest that they went 10. Now you would imagine that they just push it down the line and then try and win the line out.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Dave. That was just emotion.
Not
just
me, you have to apologise.
I know.
That one is coming right towards us. I got bits of it. So Mattin will have another go at the line-out. Mattin. Who's called the numbers, the calls are not straight. Mouth.
Wow.
Penalty. That is a coach killer.
Oof.
And I think that's what he was talking about before. He just wanted to cut the appealing out.
Yep. And this is the sort of situation I don't think Onkas are used to being in, especially against Port Adelaide. I think it's frustrating him a bit.
Tuivasa will send it there. I think it was for the ironic applause for the referee.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, that's never going to work.
So Martin again. Oh, that one is lost. Van Eyck will tidy it up. Martin will miss him, and Van Eyck has a little bit of pasture in front of him. Dealt with eventually. Hall gets hands on, but he can't survive the clean out. Doughty into midfield.
Big hard run.
Coe manages to get him. With Lee. Little counter ruck. Then Van Asvegen will look to turn them around. I think Metcalf is happy that one's gone into touch. He has had a day out today, Mr. Metcalf. There he is.
Quadzilla.
He's just that puff of the cheeks. He's been made to run around at the back by the Onkaparinga team.
He has been certainly put to the test in that spot this afternoon.
So it looks like we're about to get to parity. The Onkaparinga back rower.
It's an unfortunate unfortunate point that Port haven't been able to capitalise on that extra man off. So, but
well, they did score the try.
True.
Coe will just run it into midfield. Chapman looks to pick and go and does. Just makes an extra yard, not much. Then Hall will go back to Tuivasa. Oh. Tuivasa slipped as he tried to beat the first defender.
Oh.
And Lehigh again will just put his head down and make some yardage. Now he's got to fight to ground, which he does. Hall again will find Coe. Coe shows it inside, then gives it to Matten, and Matten will put it down.
Well, they need to start. Obviously, they're trying to push the envelope here, and they've got to do it at this point in the afternoon.
So an hour gone on the Wojtek scoreboard. If I'm honest, this is not how I expected today to go.
How did you expect today to go?
I expected it to be a lot more one-sided than it has been.
Right.
So now we're back to a full complement in the pack. Now we can have a look and see whether he'll get some assistance from his number 7. What's the number 7 on this near side? See whether we'll see it this time. Referee's on this side, so he might not do it.
Yep, he is too.
No, there he goes. See him just trying to pick up that elbow.
Good spot, Dave.
Doughty. Flat ball to Van Asvegen. Van Asvegen with the offload.
He's dropped it.
Wilkins will put it down. I tell you what. So just pull it up.
Just lifting his arm.
Just as he starts to get turned inside out. Oh, talk about living on the edge. Both of these teams. There's been tries put down both ways. Just away to my left, I can see Jack, and he is hobbling his way. Good offload from Van Asvegen, and I think Mr. Doughty was counting, not Mr. Doughty, Mr. Wilkins was counting off the points.
He was. He'd spent it before he had it, I think.
So there's been a change in prop. I think there's some changes for Port as well, so that looks like Shannon Hall's coming off.
A little bit gingerly too.
I'm not letting you up anymore.
Looks like he's going to be replaced by Tyrone Baker.
Hold on, Brendan.
Or has the replacement already been made? Who's gone to halfback?
No,
I would expect to see. Yeah, I don't think he's going to halfback there. I would expect to see one of the Reynolds go. There we go. So we'll work out the change of personnel for both of these sides shortly. So a change in prop. Not entirely sure what the hold-up is, can't quite see. I was still waiting for the substitution to be made. So is that Baker going? No. Baker looks like he's going to that far wing. It looks like Koe's going to go into 10. Not entirely sure what's going on. We'll work it out.
And Reynolds going inside. Reynolds at inside centre now. And leaving fully outside.
Here we go again. He's given his prop. He couldn't quite get him that time, and it has gone down. Mattin will pick and go. Beats the first one. Can't get away from Witten. Witten very, very showing maturity beyond his years. Rolls back into the danger area. Port Adelaide still struggling to get out, and they get a penalty. Wow. Just a nice pressure release for them. Reynolds will go. He's gone from behind the referee though. Didn't quite see a signal for what the penalty was for.
Offside.
That's a number of offsides during the day for Onkaparinga. Be interested if there's any referees watching as to whether what, I think it's Ben White, the Onkaparinga flanker, whether it's legal or not.
Well, I don't.
I'm not entirely sure there's a law against it.
Yeah, but if he's dropping his elbow, then obviously Mark's got the wood over him, and he's obviously trying to stop the scrum from collapsing. So
getting a little bit of help from his flanker, which, you know.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know the law behind that.
I don't think there is one. Anyway, Port Adelaide with Dwayne Mattin managed to tidy up a messy line-up.
Got to be watching on the clear out and their seal that they got to stay on their
Koe
feet.
will find Tui Vassar. He beats the first one. Can't get away from the second though. Koe will clean him out.
Damo.
Leo again. Just hits and then gets those legs going every single time. Out to Koe. Koe will then just put it to boot. Van Aswegen sits underneath it. Fires it into midfield. The old Barnes Wallace to Wilkins. And Wilkins will send it out. And the big fella will kick. It's turned out quite well for him. Metcalf has got a lot of work to do.
Now you can see there, they've barged down on him with 3 blokes ready for him, but fortunately Port were back there in numbers, which is nice to see. They've obviously learned from prior happenings.
Another little pick and go from Mattin.
Sam Chapman.
Come out from Reynolds. Koe. He'll put it on the boot. Left-footed away. Now they go quick. Into Van Aswegen. Leads him into the space. Then to Wall. Now they've got 2-on-1. Port have managed to shift across. Reynolds stands him up. Can't do much else. Onkaparinga are there. Doughty will pick and go. Try and find a little bit of a gap. Manages to keep his feet. Gets to within 5 of the Port Adelaide line. Now it's going to come back their way. Onkaparinga now knocking on the door. Witten, they'll send it out to this near side. Scowcroft did enough. And into midfield, little show, and then he'll straighten up. Can't get through Mitchell. O'Neill again will look to Doughty. Doughty carries it, looks to loop it over the top. Manages to do it. Again, Scowcroft just by the shirt tails manages to get one. Inside the 5 now.
Here it comes left.
O'Neill will look to the left. Steps inside Howells and he will go over. It was only a matter of time again.
Well worked there by Onkas. Nice patience as well for
just
They're tired, boys, they're tired.
Dangerous. And Howells is there in the pillar.
He's at post. Oh, he just
slipped through.
Just stepped him. He won't be happy with that.
Almost went underneath. So there's a couple of players down, I think, for Port Adelaide. I think Lamble was lying prostate on the near side. Just that half a step. Managed to get Howells out the way. So Lamble is down, and there's another player lying on his back as well. I'm not sure who that one is. As Doughty will look to tack on 2 extras.
Might be Mitchell.
Pull that one. So Onkaparinga haven't really been able to get more than a 10-point lead all day.
No, it's not Mitchell.
So can Port go again? Can Onkaparinga push out? He's not got up. I'm just trying to...
Might be a Reynolds.
Look around. Lamble's up. Not moving freely. No, it's Dwayne Mattin. Tuivasa will hang one up. Good kick again. Mattin will retrieve it. Mattin will find a little bit of space. Oh, the jackal was close.
Yeah,
and they got it. Not releasing. Mattin has not moved. Again causes front row dilemma. Cosgrove is making his way back around, but he has refreshment. He has post-match refreshment, so I'm not sure whether he will come back. Metcalf doesn't find touch, so Metcalf has support. Sends it into midfield to Reynolds. Reynolds will step back inside, manages to offload to Koe. Koe will show and then just put his head down. Take 3 Onkaparinga players with him.
Little wry grin from Sean Metcalf to his opposite number there.
Mattin again can't manage to keep hold of it.
Went straight over the referee's head. I think he was unsighted for about a millisecond there, and that's just killed it.
So
with approximately 9 minutes to go.
So that's Tia Falatolu has come on. Anatolia Falatolu.
I think Ollie Scowcroft's going into hooker.
Oh, there you go.
Which he can do.
That's a meteoric rise to fame for the young man.
No, he's done it before. He's been trained by the best. Trained to throw by the best. Who was trained to throw by Simon Olive, who's even better. So he can do it.
25 points to 15, and Mattin is still down, and finally he's managing to get himself off.
I was going to say on another note that you see the Onkaparingas are sponsored by the Swell Brewery down there at McLaren Vale. Have you ever been down there? Worth the trip.
Okay.
Worth the trip. Big new place, lots of, I think a wall full of beer on tap. Lovely place.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, absolutely.
So it will be another scrum.
Looks like Cameron Lamble's gone to number 8. Now I'm doing it.
Apparently it's taken off.
So Timmy's gone to blindside, Sammy's at open, and Lamble's at 8.
Scrum seems to have shored up for Onkaparinga. Now they will go to this near side. Tuivasa makes the tackle. Difference, one of the major differences. Falatolu is
on the side.
Yeah,
even I saw that.
Everyone saw that. Doubting. Puts the little chip through.
I'll bring it back.
Goes to ground. I'm going to reserve judgment, but I do feel like he bought that. I think he's asking for the teeth.
Smart move, put her out beyond 2 tries. Oh, sorry, just under 2 tries to get it. So, I must admit, I'm very impressed with Port's actions, with Port's work rate today. They've been disciplined with all the decisions that have been made. There's been no lip. High tackles have been few and far between. It's nice to see them maybe turning a corner.
And it's fair to say that Onkaparinga have been asked a question today, and they've answered it.
Well, they have answered it, but they haven't answered it adamantly, though, have they? I mean, it's not been a convincing. If God forbid they still win, but it hasn't been convincing in any form of the game. There's been no. There's 3. but there's been no consistent areas or patches of play that they've succeeded in. And I think Port should take a lot of solace from this game from the way they've played.
Doughty's been very, very impressed. I've been very impressed with Caleb Whitten today. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. It's probably one of the best games we've seen from Troy Wilkins as well. But that one might not go the 10. Doesn't go well. It bounces over the 10 and into touch. So we'll just go from there. It'll be an Onkaparinga lineup. Someone's saying that the flanker can't bind onto the prop. I don't know whether we would call what he's doing as binding, so.
Well, if he had a shirt sleeve there, he would. It's weird, isn't it? Because you've actually got to physically, well, binding, I suppose, if he's grabbing his skin and grabbing his elbow and holding him up.
Interestingly as well, actually, I was talking to somebody, one of the Onkaparinga sideline at half-time, and they were saying they are missing players. They are missing Kurt McKinley. And these are the games you've got to win.
Yep. Where
your A grade isn't at full strength.
Nice pass.
Now they're in space. Again, they will come out. Now it's a foot race. Again, they step back inside, and again, Port Adelaide only just manage it. And it will go out into touch. And a side entry. So Port Adelaide again will get a penalty that will just release the pressure. Faletolu is doing everything he can to. So that's the first one. I mean, you could have chosen either one there. Koe came in from the side as well. Faletolu had just picked somebody off. It's a tough one. Onkaparinga will want to just move further away. It's almost been like an annoying fly for them today. Port Adelaide just have never gone away. White again. Tackle behind the gain line, that man Lie again. Big loud whistle, we're coming back for something. Offside.
Ollie just had a bit of a rush of blood there, went round the side, didn't go through the gate.
For me, it's the lowest percentage play in rugby.
Yes.
I've never known anybody
to get away with it.
Get away with that.
Consistently. You might get away with it once in 20, but what's the point?
Doughty making sure his socks are right. A little bit of clock management.
I was going to say there's some very short shorts. Very short socks, sorry.
He sends it down the line, and Onkaparinga will have a line out halfway into Port Adelaide territory. Onkaparinga set piece has been good for the day. Whitten does well. Not straight though. Commentators curse during the throw, right? Never had that before. So Port Adelaide will have the scrum. 13 points the difference.
You can just see that little bit of fatigue setting in.
Just a little bit of a bridge too far for the Port Adelaide boys at the moment, but Onkaparinga have done the job.
There's a little bit of fatigue setting in, a couple of moments of madness, little blood rushes that are just costing Port, just like you said, silly little things that just are never going to come off.
Going backwards, but Matten will tidy it up. Managed to tidy it up from blindside. That's impressive. Onkaparinga now just looking to turn the screw defensively as well as on offense.
Reynolds has had a good game there today at halfback. Well, obviously taken over from Shannon Hall.
Flat ball for Lie, and geez, he was met. That's about as dominant as a tackle as you'll see. Lamble. Out to Chapman. Showed the kick, fooled nobody. Off the toes, Lie will go again.
He's just been a workhorse today, hasn't he?
But he's
Damo?
hardened up for the hard yards, that young man. Reynolds to Coe. Oh, Reynolds, his brother won't thank him for that. Now the turnover, and Whitten will go. Probably deserves a try, Caleb Whitten, after his day out. But a knock on. There'll be a frosty silence over the dinner table tonight between the Reynolds brothers, you'd think. So we are in red time, and you would think that Onkaparinga have done enough. They will travel back along South Road with the points in the bag. And it has been an enthralling game of rugby.
Like I said at the start, not at the start, 3/4 of the way through the game, if with this sort of a scoreline, only losing to Onkers by 13 points, I think the boys can take a lot out of this game. Okay, a loss is a hard enough thing to take as it is, but just to learn from this, I think they're going to come ahead in leaps and bounds.
And Onkaparinga have managed to shore up that scrum. Now Doughty will go, just steps outside, then fires it all the way across. Can they finish? Back inside. Yes, they can. Onkaparinga get the fork out, put it in, because ladies and gentlemen, that one's now done.
That's a huge pass too.
That's Riley Matthews finishing out here. Came back inside. Just managed to miss Tui Vasa. So the distribution from Doughty has been good all day. And Onkaparinga will put it beyond doubt. A number of runners he can choose from as well as he goes.
You'd have to think this would probably be it, wouldn't it?
I think it would. I think I've seen the signal already, and Doughty will just put a cherry on top of it all. It will go over, and that will be that. So, ladies and gentlemen, 35 points to 15. Onkaparinga came up South Road and they did a job, and they got the 4 points. Did them probably 5, I think. I think there would be a bonus point for them as well there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a wonderful afternoon for rugby. It's been a good little game. The progression for Port Adelaide keeps going.
Yeah, get a few of our main strike players back from injury, and who knows what can happen.
And Onkaparinga just keep marching in the right direction, and they will be there at the pointing end of the season.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing them. We are away next week with the Queensland birthday weekend, and then we'll be back with you. Thank you very much from chilly Port Adelaide. My name has been Dave Webb. Thank you very much, Darren.
All good. Thanks, Dave.